Okay, so I'm gonna do like a little timeline sketch. I'm going to I wrote this up a little bit here, just a history of Louisville. Okay, to do some background. I was doing background information on the LMPD just to see what it is I'm dealing with. And between the years, let's see, 1999 to 2002, there was 7 young black men who were shot and murdered and killed by the LMPD. So I think there was even something in '98. I think they had Adrian Reynolds. They smashed his head on the floor of the jail. They just stomped on his head. That's what the jailer's done in Louisville. So that's from '98 till 2002, from right at the turn of the millennium, for about just 3 or 4 year period. There was it was out of control. It was fucking crazy. And this 2001 is when Louisville or Cincinnati had the riots with Timothy Thomas. So that was definitely felt here in Louisville, but it never actually got to a rioting time. In fact, there's only been 3 times that Louisville has ever rioted. That was in 1855 and in 1968 and in 1975. So there hasn't been, massive uprisings or riots that have happened in Louisville for really most of the duration of its existence. Okay, so the interesting thing is how this actually connects to my case. Okay, so you have all these fatal shootings, and this was right before Robert White becomes the police chief of Louisville. But you have Desmond Rudolph, Rodney Abernathy, Clifford Lewis, Antoine D. Terry Hines, Marshall Marbley, and James Edward Taylor. Now, James Edward Taylor, he was the one that he was handcuffed, and they shot him. Okay, so they said he was handcuffed, and he was trying to attack them, and they shot him like 10 times or something. So you're in handcuffs, and you can't handle a person in handcuffs. You're trying to attack a man in handcuffs. Anyways, there's the case that I want to pinpoint is Clifford Lewis. So on January 9th in 2001, Clifford Lewis had got shot. And Clifford Lewis Jr., okay, Clifford Lewis Jr. had got shot by this man here, Johann Stimley. Okay, so Johann Kit Stimley, this man. And Johann Kit Stimley, on January 9th, 2001, he went up to Clifford Lewis Jr., who was in his car, and they came out undercover, plain clothes, so it looks just like just a plain white man coming out with guns. They were wolf packing him. This is in the West End at the White Owl Liquors, right at the White Owl Liquor Store, or right at the parking lot of the White Owl Liquor Store. So this man, along with a bunch of other police officers, perhaps there's about like 12 that testified, so I don't know if 12 were actually on the scene, but he's the only one that's going to be charged with them. So there's like 5 or 6 at least that's shooting, and they kill Clifford Lewis. And Clifford Lewis has no drugs on him, no weapons, nothing. So basically, they later on they had misidentified the car as being stolen, and they assumed that he was responsible for it or had something to do with it. So they wolf packed him. They came out in undercover cars, looking like he is, just like that, with guns. Okay, so you got a bunch of a dozen white men all jumping out with guns. And they're wolf packing, so they overwhelm him with force. And instead of submitting to all these people coming out with guns, he takes off. And when he takes off, he gets shot, and he gets shot up probably about like 10 times or so. Half of the shots are in his back, and the other half are in his front. And the lawsuit had said that they shot him after he had got away. So he's driving away. He has no weapons. He has no drugs. He's got nothing on him whatsoever. No contraband of, they didn't even think to plant something, right? So he has nothing on him whatsoever. And they said that he was still alive, but they went over and killed and executed him, right? So they just flat out murdered him. This is 2001, January 9. Johann Stimley was charged with it, but he wasn't indicted by the grand jury. So the grand jury never indicted him. And a lot of times they don't indict him, but they at least had a grand jury hearing, unlike in Boone County with Samantha Ramsey, the 19-year-old girl who got killed by the Boone County police up there, and all the judges and all the politicians are just letting this shit get away. There's not going to be a grand jury hearing. They don't even have a hearing for it. Let the grand jury decide, right? But even if the grand jury decides, the prosecutor can push to let him, get away with this crime. So that's Johann Stimley. Now, Johann Stimley is going to take over the Viper Squad, and the Viper Squad is an independent rogue special teams unit in Louisville that just goes around doing the fuck as they please. They're focused on violence and illegal guns. So those are their two main emphasis, but that just justifies any type of fucking violence and, thievery and, mass, terrorism. So it justifies basically, anything and everything that they do in order to achieve those ends. They think that the the ends justify the means. So that's Johann Stimley. He was part of that wolf pack that murdered Clifford Lewis Jr. Okay, so this is the culture. This is the culture of Louisville Metro Police Department. This is what we're walking into. I moved to Louisville in 2010. Now there's so let's go back to some of these shootings. Okay, so you have all these shootings. All these young black men are getting shot up right in 2000, 2001, 2002. And Louisville's pissed off. They're up in arms. So just kind of like in Ferguson, you had that one black police officer walking through the crowd and sort of getting to know folks. That's what Robert White did, okay? And Robert White is going to become the mayor, or is going to become the new police chief of Louisville. And he becomes the police chief in January 2003. So this is right after all these shootings, right? You had James Edward Taylor got shot in December. Then by the next month, January 2003, Robert White was elevated. Okay, so Robert White is the new police chief. And Robert White is significant for Louisville because this is the first black police chief that Louisville has ever had. So this is sort of like our Obama in a way, or this is more like a Colin Powell, right? This is Louisville's Colin Powell. We haven't had a black mayor yet, but we had Robert White. So Robert White, he was actually a really good man, came talk to our class at U of L, and I liked his philosophy. I like how he was down to earth. He explained things, very this levels with people. This is what we have, this is what we can do, and this is what we can't do. And he was actually saying with Louisville, since they only have like, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000, maybe less, police officers, you can't be everywhere all the time solving everybody's problem. But what you can do is to have exposure. So his type of policing was just to have the cops out there, and then that was it. And hopefully that would deter crime by having the police units out there. But he was elevated in January 2003. Now you're going to have, and he's a police chief for most of the time, but when I get here he actually leaves and goes to Denver, Colorado. Now he's the police chief for the city of Denver. The mayor had hired him to be the police chief of Denver, Colorado. So he took off in 2010 or so, about the same with the rise of Greg Fisher. Okay, so the mayors that we've had in Louisville, you had Jerry Abramson from 86 to 99, so he got to see some of the shootings right there at the end of his tenure, but David Armstrong is going to see most of them. And David Armstrong is just an asshole. He's a piece of shit. When they had all the shootings, they were killing all the black men, right? LMPD is just massacring black men left and right, from 98 to 2002. They had they had a bunch of protests and unrest, but you also had the LMPD had a coup d'etat. They took over the fucking city, and while they was protesting, which is insane, the cops can protest. So the cops are protesting, against the city, against the unrest, and then the KKK came out and marched with them. So the KKK, the LMPD were in solidarity with David L. Armstrong, and then David L. Armstrong, and then Robert Stingel, or some Stingel guy, some Commonwealth attorney, kept on covering up all these crimes. The LMPD just kept fucking killing black men, and these cases were just so fucking dumb. It was the dumbest shit in the fucking world. There was no threat or no harm, no danger until the cop came on the scene. Then there was all of a sudden fucking danger and there was harm. One guy got shot because he was a passenger in a vehicle. So they're shooting passengers who just, shoot first, ask questions later. They go with violence straight up, to begin with. So David L. Armstrong, this is the mayor from 99 to 2003. While they protest him, David Armstrong actually, he did fire the police chief, and then that's why the LMPD. So David Armstrong is actually a good guy. I messed up a little. Well, I don't know. He's 50-50. He wasn't 100%, but he did fire the police chief who was ruling over the time of all these police shootings, and the reason why I fired him is because one of the police shootings, they got exonerated, right? They didn't get any fucking charges, and then he decorates them with medals of valor, right? So they get away with murder, and not only did they get no punishment, they got a paid leave vacation, right? They got to come back on the force, they got to keep their gun, keep their power, keep their badge, keep all that money coming in, all that taxpayer dollar coming in. They get all that, but they didn't actually, they didn't get charged with anything. They didn't have any crime. So like they, not only did he not get charged with anything, but he also got a Medal of Valor. So it's almost like a slap in the fucking face. Like, hey, look what white males can do. They can go murder black men in Louisville and get away with it, and then we give them medals of valor. We fucking put them on a pedestal. Dave Armstrong fires the police chief. After the police chief is fired, that's when the LMPD, they take to the streets. So it's a coup d'etat, right? They're the fucking militia. They're the police force. And if they say, hey, this is our streets. So for a while, right, they took over, but eventually it all dissipated, and they got a different police chief in there in 2003 once, he stepped down. So once David Armstrong was out, Jerry Abramson was coming up, and 2003 is also when Louisville merged with Jefferson County. So Louisville's a city nation, right? And it's one of the city states in Kentucky. There's Lexington, Frankfort, Covington. So you got about 4 city states, but this become a big city state because it took the county. So it wasn't just downtown Louisville now. Now it was all Jefferson County, including the suburbs and the farmlands, out in the outskirts. So that's 2003. That's when you get Jerry Abramson comes up. David L. Armstrong's out. And, there's Michael Newby, just to show you, look, I mean, this is a cop that's he killed Michael Newby in 2004. So even having a black police chief in there did not change the fucking culture of the LMPD. Look at this fucking smug bastard face. He's like, oh, I'm a white fucking guy. I part my fucking hair to the side. I killed a black dude. I don't give a fuck. Look at him. He does not give a shit that he's fucking killed a black dude. He's a cop. He's been advised by all these lawyers and all these people that just want to cover his ass because don't cross the blue line, right? Don't cross the blue line. That's more important than truth and justice. Now that's bullshit. Truth and justice. We need more Serpicos. We need more honest cops out there. But you have look at this fucker, Mackenzie Mattingly, he fucking killed Michael Newby, this fucking bastard rat motherfucker, and he knows he ain't gonna get in any fucking trouble, and he didn't get in any fucking trouble. Eventually what Robert White does is he bribes him to quit, and he gives him, like $75,000 or some shit to fucking quit. I think it was actually more than that. So Michael Newby's family only got like, a couple $1,000s, and he gets a couple $1,000s to quit his fucking job, which he accepted, and then got another police job, I think, in another part of the city of Louisville. So he's still fucking working in Louisville. So this asshole, he got paid. He killed a fucking black dude, got exonerated, then got fucking paid to quit. And look at his face. He's so smug. He's so fucking arrogant. He's so uppity. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm a white guy. I fucking killed a black dude. What? I'm a cop. What the fuck you gonna do to me? You can't do shit to me. I have all the power in the world. People say police officers have dangerous jobs. The only time this motherfucker put himself in fucking danger, he shot Michael Newby in the back. He shot him in the fucking back. And Michael Newby didn't do shit to anybody. So he was going to college, right? So he killed a fucking college student. And he shot him in the fucking back. And this is the type of people that we have out there. These are people protecting and serving. He ain't protecting and serving shit. He's creating problems where problems didn't fucking exist. And basically I feel like he probably murdered him for disrespect. How dare you disrespect me? And maybe made a fool of, right? Because he could tell that y'all, fuck you, white boy. You a police officer. I could tell. So that's just that's the mentality, that's the demeanor. And I thought that there's that things had changed, that things had been better. You had Robert White who was there, but Robert White eventually leaves. And so he's in there from January 2003, and then Denver announces a new police chief in 2011. So I'm only there for a year, only a year with Robert White. Then he steps down. Greg Fisher is elected February 21st, 2012. He's elected in November 2010, so he's the new mayor. So Jerry Abramson's been mayor for like 25 fucking years. So basically he's like fucking God to Louisville, Jerry Abramson is. But Mayor Fisher is the one that's in charge now, and he's been in charge, for 4 years. He's up for re-election. I'm not sure if actually anybody's running against him. So you have the police chief resigned in let's see, in 2011. So there's about like 2 fucking years or 4 months, right, from October 2011 to February 2012. They had no police chief. So for 4 months, they just had an interim sort of police fucking government, sort of a transitional phase. I don't know who the fuck was running shit. It was all behind the scenes. But eventually, on February 21st, 2012, Greg Fisher names Steve Conrad to be the new police chief. Okay, so he's the new police chief in February 21st, 2012. This is Steve Conrad. Okay, so Steve Conrad, this is our police chief today. This is the main man. He's the one that runs the LMPD and says swift justice and gives the Viper Squad all the power and everything else. So while he's the police chief, within, a few months, he's the police chief, February 2011. Then within a few months, December 7th, 2012, he employs the Viper Squad unit. Okay, so February 21st, 2012, he becomes the police chief, and then December 7th, he installs the Viper unit. And the Viper unit is going to be the same fuckers that attacked me. That would be Joel Casey and Aaron Browning, who fucking jumped me for no fucking reason whatsoever, because I was walking down the damn street, not committing any crime, not jaywalking, not hurting anybody. They just wanted, get the fuck out of the road, and they was yelling and all this other shit. So they're, plain clothes. There's a lot of similarities in a way. Like, I'm not about to say that I'm Clifford Lewis Jr. and they tried to do to me what they did to him, but I am saying that they was plain clothes, so I can understand what Clifford Lewis Jr. felt, being at the parking lot and all of a sudden seeing a bunch of white dudes, right? You're a black man in a fucking white America, so you see a bunch of white guys jump out of cars with guns. You're just gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, a bunch of fucking guys with guns. I'm just gonna put my hands up. Fuck that. That's scary. Who knows what the fuck that could be? That's KKK type of shit. That's fucking, anonymous type of shit. That's some terrorism type of shit. And that's the police. They should be clearly fucking labeled with, they're the public officials, and they have the power of the state. So you can't hit a police officer. You go to fucking prison for 5 years, right? So they have all the fucking power. They want to sit there and say it's a dangerous job. Maybe sometimes it is, but I think most of the time they're the ones that put themselves in the danger. So this is the asshole that's the fucking police chief right now, Steve Conrad. Steve Conrad is going to elevate Johann Stimley to run the Viper Squad. Okay, so they didn't even vet Johann Stimley. They didn't do a background check on him. They didn't even do a Google search. Okay, if they would have done a Google search, they would have known that this new Viper Squad special teams rogue militia unit, who has all the power of the state to go around and do whatever the fuck they want to do, cause as much havoc and chaos and hurt as many fucking people in order to achieve their ends of less violence and get the illegal guns off the streets. Those are the two main objectives for this. So you want to talk about gun grab, you want to talk about the Second Amendment, you have all these white guys going into, fucking McDonald's and shit with AK-47s, and nobody's fucking vetting their shit out. But in the black community, they've been doing a gun grab for the last two or 3 years, 2012 December. So almost 2 years now, Viper Squad has been up and in action. So that's, let's see. Okay, so December 7th, no, that's when they attacked me, my bad. So the September 20th is when they got established. So September 20th, they raised Johann Stimley up, and then within September, October, November, December, within 2 to 3 months, they attacked me. So they get all this fucking power. They get unlimited, absolute power to do, totalitarian, fucking fascist, violent power. They get to do as the fuck as they please with no regards to the consequences or to ever being held accountable for any fucking thing that they do. So that happened in September 20th, 2012. So that's almost 2 years that this Viper Squad has been in office. Now, within a couple months ago, they've actually fired Johann Stimley because they probably fucking Googled him and found out that this asshole had fucking murdered Clifford Lewis Jr. And again, this is at the White Owl parking lot. Clifford Lewis Jr. had no fucking drugs on him, no illegal guns, no guns whatsoever, nothing, not alcohol, not drink, nothing. He had absolutely nothing in his car, nothing on his person, and they said that they saw him reach for his waistband and try to shoot at him. That's why they killed him. Bull fucking shit. You got 12 guys with guns pointed at him, and they say that they were scared of their life. Bullshit. I think what happened is he drove off, and he might have almost hit one of the guys because they're standing in front of the car, right? Because they want to block him in and shit. But he's got a right to preserve himself, and so he's taking off and he's running, and they don't like the fact that he's running. How dare you not be scared of us when we all jumped out with guns and we did this fucking organization and shit? You're supposed to fucking bow down to our psychoticness. And so there's lots of gunshots. Everybody's shooting at him, but they only charged Johann Stimley. So you had 12 fucking dudes on the scene. Everybody's shooting, but only one fucker, only one person gets charged with any crime whatsoever. So he becomes the face for the entire fucking unit. They go to the grand jury, and David Stingel, the county attorney or the Commonwealth's attorney at the time, just pushed the fucking. He got 12 different cops to actually go testify. So he gets 12 cops to go testify at the grand jury proceeding, and the grand jury is just an indictment to say that there's probable cause of a crime for a felony that had occurred. So it's not even, you're not guilty of shit. It's just saying, let's proceed to the trial. Let's proceed to the jury trial next. And if they get you with a felony charge, then that's a big thing. So the idea of a grand jury is that vets, any sort of frivolous type of fucking accusations. If somebody just says you're a felony, you're guilty of a felony, and the grand jury says no, it's not the case, then it gets buried and nobody fucking pays attention to it. But they also say a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich, meaning that they can indict anybody and anything for any fucking reason. So you got to be careful with the grand jury. But I would rather actually see them indict these motherfuckers, because it just shows they put me before the grand jury, right? So I was just walking down the street, and I had to get vetted out, and they threw it out, but they also threw this asshole out. But the prosecutor tried to fucking convict me, where they tried to defend him. He murdered somebody, right? He killed somebody, and if we can't agree that murder is wrong, that then our society is just fucked. We can't even agree that murder is wrong. That should be the first. That's what most societies can at least, there's not many things people can agree on, but I think we can agree that murder is wrong. And if we can't agree on that, then I have no idea where we're actually at. Okay, so that's Johann Stimley, right? That's the man who's in charge of the Viper Squad for the majority of the last 2 years that Viper Squad has been employed. They just recently fired him, but this is the culture. This is the culture of Louisville. Once you got rid of Robert White, once you got rid of the black man, now you got lots of fucking crazy shit that's happening. So I was talking about Steve Conrad, this asshole. He knew about a guy that he sent to prison, and he knew that he was fucking innocent, but he wanted to cover up the evidence because he already got his conviction, and makes some of the cops look like they were lying, because that's what the fucking cops do, right? The fucking LMPD lied all throughout my entire fucking police brutality trial. But he sat there and covered up bullshit, lies, just to defend, possibly the reputation of some of the police officers in defiance of justice and truth. So you put an innocent man behind fucking bars, Steve Conrad. You put an innocent fucking man behind bars, and then once you found out that he wasn't guilty, that he was in fact innocent, as he had been stating the whole fucking time, instead of doing what was right, this motherfucker went ahead and covered the shit up so that he would stay in prison forever. Eventually he gets out and sues the shit out of him and wins like $1 million or something. And there's been several cases where they convict the wrong person, and then they get out, many years later, and they wind up winning millions of fucking dollars, because these assholes don't give a shit about truth and justice. They just want to fuck over as many people as they want to fuck over. You arrested somebody, you accuse somebody, get them in front of a judge, judge fucking convicts them, says they're fucking guilty, and throws them in fucking prison. Nice, clean little system that they got going there, right? But that's just because someone accuses somebody else doesn't make that they're fucking right. And especially since, let's take a look at some of the LMPD. I know personally that they're fucking bastards, but we have lots of bad shit that happens with the LMPD. Recently, 7 hours ago, right, the LMPD is arrested for fucking shoplifting. Look at this asshole, this crew cut motherfucker, right? Yeah, this is the asshole, this fucking, this with the mustache and shit. So he's arrested for shoplifting. So when it comes to the police versus the public, the police actually has more cases of mental health issues, domestic violence, and drug use. They're more psychotic and criminal than the average fucking citizen out there. Because, I mean, think about it, really. What type of person is attracted to becoming a cop? Well, somebody that wants, a short, bald man, someone that's been picked on a lot, who wants to go use their power and enact revenge on everybody. How dare y'all pick on me? I'm gonna fucking get some power, and I'm gonna show you all, what the fuck is up. And so they just want the power, right? And then what, they go through law school and shit? No, they don't go through law school. They're just doing whatever their commander officers do, and whatever they fucking think is right and wrong. So basically, it's all their fucking discretion. This asshole, he's a 22-year veteran. He's been in the LMPD department for 22 fucking years. It's got a culture of corruption. These assholes don't give a fuck about truth or justice, and now they're fucking shoplifting. They straight up just fucking shoplifting. He gets paid a good salary. Why the fuck does he need to shoplift? That's so fucked up. It's so fucked up that he would chance something like that. But these cops, they get to thinking that they're above the law and that nobody can ever fucking stop them, and then they fuck up by, actually fucking breaking the law. And now here's a graduation ceremony. We're getting 19 new LMPD officers, so that's great. We're just going to put more out in the street, right? Let's see. Robbery, 20 years sentence handed down. Here's a lawsuit. It says that LMPD retaliated after reports of child abuse. So I guess there's child abuse that was going on, and then the LMPD fucking covers this shit up, right? So they covered the fucking shit up, right? So that's the LMPD, and there's many I've seen right here in the very beginning when we had Johann Kit. They call him Kit Stimley. I couldn't find anything on Johann Stimley except for stuff that I put out. It was kind of crazy because I was just investigating LMPD in general, and it turned out that the people that are in power now were the same fuckers that had murdered all those black folks between 98 to 2002. So all the black men that was getting shot, the culture is still in play, it's still here. The Ku Klux Klan, the white supremacy, the totalitarian fascism, the shoot first, ask question laters, all that mentality, that corruption is still here. This asshole right here, he's friends with Joel Casey and Aaron Browning, and he actually showed up to the grand jury, right? So this is Carl Payne. He's a sex offender, right? So he's a cop, and he's sitting there going to charge these women with a crime, but he's like, hey, I won't charge you with a crime if you suck my dick. So, right, that's just a fucking weird fucking pervert, creepy-ass fucking, what a sick motherfucker, KSP. They're fucking like 15-year-olds. 15-year-old, young women, girls, right? So they're passing them around. They're passing 15-year-olds. This is KSP. This is fucking men. You want to talk about why society is so fucking sick? Right here. This fucking dickhead right here. And I explained what happened, and then he basically didn't have shit to say to me, and then he came to the trial, and then he didn't say shit after that. He was also caught drunk, drinking and driving. So this asshole is going to have to go before a trial, before a jury, and say, hey, as a police officer with integrity, I drink and drive, and I try to extort young women in order to give me sex and blowjobs. I use my position to get some ass. And now I saw this guy commit a crime, and you got to believe me. You just got to trust me. Why the fuck would you trust him? You shouldn't fucking trust this asshole. There's been cases where the police officers just start firing at people, just start shooting at people, just, for the fuck of it. Chauncey Carthen or something. He was off duty. And he was shooting at somebody, and then eventually he got in trouble for it. So this is Mayor Fisher, right? Mayor Fisher got up in 2010. He fucking elevated Johann Stimley, who had murdered a black dude. He didn't give a shit. He didn't give a fuck if he actually killed a black dude or didn't. And the Viper Squad, who Johann Stimley had created and led for so many years, is still in force and is still in operation because Greg Fisher, he was against Occupy. He's against the 99%. He doesn't care about working class families. He's a corporatist. He's a fucking Democratic corporatist. And he's all about police and police power. So he doesn't care about if his cops are fucking throwing innocent people in prison and jails. And you want to get mad about the fucking, he goes, this isn't the way we roll. In Louisville, this isn't the way we roll. Okay, this isn't the way we fucking roll, right? Because you don't employ a bunch of fucking terroristic fucking assholes that go around assaulting people, right? The cops are assaulting people. They assault people every fucking day. That's what cops are, and that's what they fucking do. So they go around assaulting people, and they're shoplifting, they're stealing, there's domestic violence, there's violence all the fucking time, violence nonstop. Their mental health issues plus the drug use. So he doesn't, this is Greg Fisher, this is the fucking mayor of Louisville. He does not give a shit about the fucking people of Louisville. He does not give a fuck at all. Because he elevated Johann Stimley, and Johann Stimley killed a black man in 2001 in January. And so if murdering a fucking man doesn't disqualify you from being a police officer, I'm not for sure what would. This guy is corrupt. He only gives a fuck about his buddies and himself. And the cops are only there to protect the fucking wealthy, the bankers, and his corporate politicians. 4th Street Live, right? He cares about Gaza, or he cares about Israel, AIPAC and 4th Street Live, and making Baltimore, Maryland rich, because the person that owns 4th Street Live is a member of AIPAC and puts all the money into Israel. And he's also, his headquarters, corporate headquarters, is out of Baltimore, Maryland. So none of fucking the money that goes from 4th Street Live goes to Kentuckians. It goes to the fucking, the rich paymaster out of state. So that's fucking Greg Fisher. So that's Greg Fisher. This is the culture. This is what I'm walking into. So December 7th, 2012, when I'm walking just 2 blocks to the store to get a beer and a snack, right? Just to get a few things from the store. And I was not drunk. I was under no influence whatsoever. I was just going for a stroll, just walking, and it was nice, right? Instead of driving the 2 blocks, I decided to go for a walk. I was happy walking, right? It's nice to go for a walk, a nice brisk walk. It was nice and cool outside, right? So it was dark and a little bit rainy, but that's sort of perfect. Like right before it starts to come down, it's just nice and just starts out. That's the way it was, okay? And so these assholes attacked me for no fucking reason whatsoever. They were walking around lawless. It's fucking anarchy. The LMPD, they're not creating order. They're creating absolute fucking anarchy. And again, they went with violence to straight up get the fuck out of the road. They're the ones being menacing. They're the ones being fucking disorderly. They're the ones creating a ruckus, creating a goddamn scene. And then when my mistake was I either should have ran or I should have arrested him. So they resisted arrest, right? So all the charges that they put on me is what they actually done to me. So these assholes are hypocrites. They don't apply the same standards that they do to others to themselves. And this the same fucking culture. Nothing has changed. Very little has changed. Okay, so we got Greg Fisher. He's in there, right? He began 2011, but he hasn't changed. The fucking Viper Squad's still there. They fired Johann Stimley, but they still have this fucking dickhole. And this dickhole, probably is the one that recommended that Johann Stimley be elevated. This dickhole didn't give a shit that he put somebody in fucking prison that was innocent for fucking decades. He's gonna put an innocent man. So let's apply the same standards. Let's throw Steve Conrad in a fucking jail, and who cares if it's guilty or not? If someone says that, hey, he's actually innocent, we're not gonna give a shit. We're gonna be like Steve Conrad and let this motherfucker rot in jail. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If he doesn't give a shit that he threw some innocent person in jail, he doesn't give a fuck about any of the innocent people he put in jail. Okay, it's not just the one case. That's his personality. That's who the fuck he is. He elevated a fucn murderer, a fucking white supremacist, murdering fucking piece of shit, right? He did not, that day when you killed Clifford Lewis Jr., Johann Stimley, when he fucking murdered him, you did not make Louisville any fucking safer whatsoever. You killed a man that didn't have any fucking weapons, that had no fucking drugs, that had nothing on him, that was doing nothing to anybody. You killed an innocent man. That's who you elevated, and that's why they continue to fuck over innocent people still today. They don't give a shit about truth and justice. When I got robbed, they didn't fucking investigate or even ask the questions of the people that had done the shit. But if they want to fuck with me because I'm walking to the store to get a beer, then they'll fuck with me just for the fuck of it, because that's all they give a shit about is their own personal power and their own personal wealth. So that's that's what we're having to deal with. Here's a lawsuit claims U of L LMPD retaliated after reports of children being abused in the program. Oh, more bullshit from the fucking LMPD, right? So here's some more. They're a bunch of fucking corrupt assholes. You want to talk about tax dollars? Let's save some tax dollars by not giving these corrupt fucking dickholes any fucking money. These corrupt dickholes are taking so much of our fucking money. So the program is called the Gentleman's Academy, and there's the children are being abused in a summer program, and they were worried about it. They help troubled youth, supposedly, and it's run by the police department and the university. So this is U of L and LMPD, fucking joining together to join their oppression and totalitarianism. U of L LMPD hired 2 U of L students in the case to work with the children as mental health director and facility. The students said they thought we were doing the right thing when they reported the alleged abuse happening within the program, but instead they were being reprimanded. Yeah, you can't talk bad about the organization. They don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know about truth or justice. They want to fix their ways. They just want to pretend that they're fucking good. It's all about PR. They just want to look good. They don't want to be good. They just want to look good, because the reputation's all that fucking matters. The evil fucking devil, Satan, psychotic, fucking violent, sadistic dickholes that they actually are. They don't want anybody to see that ugly monster side of them, right? So That's the students thought they were doing right, but they were not. True people are not truthful. Don't stand up for what is right. What the fuck, right? So Buckner began working with kids in 2003 as part of the Gentleman's Academy. She and Alexis Keene said the passion is to help get troubled kids on a more promising path. But now they feel helpless. We're getting consequences for reporting abuse when it is just really hard to process that. We saw abuse happening. We said it was going. You all need to stop it. You don't need to cover this shit up. You need to. The abuse is the fucking problem. Stop the abuse. Stop abusing children. U of L, LMPD. What the fuck? I know Kentucky's like #1 for child abuse, but what the fuck? Don't we know better by now? They would threaten the children. I'm going to cut your eyes off and throw them across the street if you roll them again. I'm gonna cut your eyes out. God damn, they're gonna try to cut so they're fucking threatening to cut people's eyes out. You know, scholars in East Group especially are awakened at 3 a.m. to engage in physical training. So they're fucking waking people up at 3 in the fucking morning, right? So that's hazing. That's fucking just hazing, right? It's like some fucking fraternity. But this is a job. This is people that's helping troubled youth. But I guess troubled youth are just supposed to beat up and insult and yell at and treat them like shit, right? They did corporal punishment, so they'd have everybody running up and down the stairs doing push-ups 5, 6 a.m. In fact, that almost sounds like the Stanford prison experiment, right? Just pushing people to see how much they could fucking push them. A boot camp, right? A military fucking boot camp, but it's summer camp, and it's not. The lawsuits outlines another occasion when a child took a break from physical training, alleging an officer began shouting obscenities towards the scholar, specifically stating, "You quitting? You ain't fucking shit. You ain't fucking quitting. If you quitting, you fat fuck." So just insulting somebody, you will not quit. You'll do what the fuck I tell you to do. I'll scare the shit out of you because you need to do as you're supposed to do. So they're threatening our future for doing the right thing. So that's fucked up. They said I ruined the relationship. Based on what they said, I ruined the relationship between LMPD and U of L. That's not a relationship you want to fucking maintain, okay? Just because the organization and the name. Get good people from U of L. Good people from LMPD. These people should be running Gentleman's Academy. These two people that came forward, Alexis Keene and Erica Butler, they should be running Gentleman's Academy. If you want to fucking mend fences, put them in charge, and then the abuse will stop. At least, they'll be the ones that's in fucking charge of this shit. They're going to go around abusing people, But this, I don't know. I feel like this is America. That's what they fucking do, right? I saw that shit in Vermont. They were telling the kids to jump into fucking icy cold water, even after we had like a week's worth of training, where they were sitting there telling us that, safety is the only thing that matters when it comes to the children. But they were going to give them hypothermia, pushing them at 7 in the morning in cold ass fucking water. Eventually, they asked me if they could get out, and I was like, yeah, you can get out. I'm not going to let you you don't have to stay in cold ass water. I'm not forcing you to do this shit. So that's all they gave a shit about, pushing the kids in cold ass water while they sit there and made them, do laps and swim there and do this, So they didn't actually care about the kids' fucking safety. So, right, again, the same thing. 2 women came forward, and there's a video of it. I guess maybe one of these women were the ones that had saw the shit happening. But that's what they were doing. They were there for mental health, exercises. So you have people that's saying, hey, they're telling me, they're threatening me and shit, and they're doing all this bullshit. They're just supposed to take it. They're just supposed to be like, oh, well, that's cool, let's just turn a blind eye to it and not give a fuck. Okay, so that's the introduction to the LMPD, my LMPD police brutality case. I'm feeling better these days. I'm still, my nose is still crooked. I still have another operation coming up, but in general, I feel like I'm back. I don't feel like I'm ugly. I don't feel like my nose is so fucked up. I used to be insecure about my nose before, but now I feel like just give me the fucking nose that I had before. I'm fine. I mean, everything will be okay. And there's a lawsuit. I got a $2.1 million lawsuit that I'm filing against them, and we're still carrying on with that. Depositions is the next step. So we got to get depositions from Aaron Browning and Joel Casey, so they have to get on the record, and we get to ask them some questions. So that's where I'm at there. The criminal case, I'm going to go through the entire jury trial and just sort of explain, each and every step. They went ahead. They did give a fair hearing, right? They did give a fair hearing, and there was opening statements, and then there's defense testimony, cross-examinations, and then closing statements, right? And then there's also tactics and strategies. And then there's the grand jury. I got a tape of the grand jury hearing. You get to hear what I had said at the grand jury hearing. When it was just me, I did a good job. But when I had 2 lawyers, then I didn't do as well. So that's interesting. When I'm by myself, I'm kicking ass and taking names. But when I get 2 lawyers around, I'm actually weakened. So that's a little bit frustrating, right? But that's I guess that's a part of the whole thing. So, anyways, that's the culture that I walked into. It's a white supremacist, fucking corrupt culture. A bunch of fucking people doing lots of criminal shit. And I went to the professional standards unit, which is the internal investigations, and they took my report and they wrote everything down, but they covered it up, right? They quickly covered the shit up, and they didn't give a fuck. Then I went to the next step. I went to the merit board. So there's members of the community that's supposed to be checking this shit up, but it's all to cover their asses up. The internal investigators did not give a fuck. There was a fat fucking white woman that was in the West End that was like, sign your name, don't sign your name, and all this other shit. And I feel like, why? I don't even feel. Next time I'm just gonna tell her to fuck off. You sign your name. You know, I'm here to fucking follow this shit, not listen to your dumb ass. I'm not your fucking bitch. I'm not your fucking slave. And it's fucking bullshit that she fucking puts people through that type of shit. So it basically it's not it's an intimidating environment as soon as you fucking walk in. They don't want you to go in there and complain about the police. They don't want to hear the shit. When I went to the merit board, I was before like some fucking professionals or something. I don't know who the fuck they were, but I talked to them about my case and my shit, and they said that they couldn't overturn it. Then they went into an executive session, had their little private meeting, and then came back out and said that they couldn't overturn it. So they said that they wasn't going to do it, then they didn't do it, and so I don't even know what the fucking point of the whole thing was. I went through the process. So I went through the fucking thing, right? I went to the internal investigations. I went to the merit board. I got no justice there. So the system is fucked from top to bottom. Greg Fisher doesn't give a shit. The fucking police chief doesn't give a shit. The merit board, the internal investigators, and of course, it's the blue line. You can't cross the blue line. They're thicker than thieves. They're blood and crips out here. They don't give a shit about truth and justice. There's no fucking Serpicos. They'll just fucking protect their cop buddy because cops protect fucking cops, and that's it. And that's bullshit. That's not the way it should be. You should protect truth and justice. If you always protect truth and justice, you can never go wrong. So if you see a cop committing a crime, you need to tell that cop to fucking knock it the fuck off. So yeah, that's the LMPD that I fucking walked to. This is the Louisville that I walked into, and these motherfuckers met me on December 7th, 2012, and completely altered and changed my entire fucking life. So